Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. And first and foremost, let me apologise for being late. No, I wasn't knocking one out, for those that were saying that in the chat. I was just eating burgers, okay? My burgers went out of date tonight, so I saved them for my tea and I had to cook them, right? So I've cooked them, I've eaten them, sorted the dogs out. I've been at work, but we're live, right? And to be honest, by my standards, 11 minutes isn't that bad, if we're being totally honest. Look, I've got a great group of people. Listen, there's already 375 people in the chat, which is amazing before we've even started. So before we go anywhere, please smash a like on the video. What I am going to do as well, because I always forget to, is put everyone else's channels in the description. I'll go do that while we're chatting. But listen, there isn't really any news to share. Of course, we can discuss incomings, outgoings, but I think we all thought, especially the fact that it's Wednesday tomorrow, that we'd have heard something. And still, there is dead silence. My mate actually sent me a picture, Danny. He put it out on Twitter. He actually sent me a picture just at top of Ellen Road outside one of the takeaways, and Angus was there last night. I forget which time it was, but he was like frantically on his phone. But like, I was like, took that as a positive. I was like, oh, well, he's at Ellen Road. He's eating while working. So like, they're still working on things, but there is still nothing. And I think that's the main worry. Phil Hayes took a holiday. It's just really, really quiet. And it's not looking good, in my opinion. Like, what's holding it up? We're also going to have to chat about these loan clauses. It seems everyone's allowed to leave on a free if they get the wages paid for the year. Thank you, Victor. There's all sorts to discuss. And look, you've heard a lot from me. You've heard a lot from Andrea. I like to get a group on to get their thoughts. I know they do their own content as well, so make sure you check them all out. As I say, the channels will be in the description in a sec. But we'll go clockwise. We'll come to you, Joe. Should we be worried? Is there reason to be worried?
The stuff that came out today will give me a little small amount to worry about. I'm still hoping that this is done by Thursday. I think if it's not done by Thursday, then you're getting way too close to preseason for it to actually not have an impact at that point. The bit that I saw today that worried me a little bit was about this EFL delay. Now, we shouldn't be surprised when there's an EFL delay, but of course there's an EFL delay. It took the Premier League a week to sign off on Leeds Takeover, and it's now what, the 9th, it's nearly 3 weeks with the EFL of what Leeds thought at the time was reported would be a short turnaround, because half the board were already on the board the last time Leeds were in the championships. They've already gone through the owners and directors tests. However, they didn't go through all the tests because they had new tests that went live the day before Leeds announced the agreement, and it got handed over to the EFL. So EFL back doing what the EFL seem to do best when it comes to Leeds. That's mucks about. But I also glanced at something this evening about apparently the 49ers just lining stuff up. And apparently as soon as it's gone, they're just going to go bump, 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 bump. Yeah. House of cards, go through things. The other side as well is maybe the silence is just... When you were saying Phil's gone on holiday, I was like, are you starting to lean into embargo territory here, Joe? All the journalists have been told something, but told it's under embargo, say a word, because no one's saying anything.
Yeah, that's the thing, and and I don't even think it's a case of they're not saying anything. It seems to me like they don't know anything. No. I see this Nat Phillips story today, and the only thing I can think of, it's like two things, Kate. It's either propaganda from the football club to calm us all down, or Phil's got it from a Liverpool side of things as opposed to from the Leeds side of things. It was quite interesting the other day as well, Kate, that we hear Leeds are worried about this loan stuff coming out from Italy, and then all of a sudden the YEP do an article saying Leeds want to keep Nonto, Harrison, Adams, as though they were told, oh no, we're positive about keeping these. So it all just, we need some clarity, don't we, Kate? We need something.
Yeah. This is what I was kind of saying last week. I think, when there's a vacuum of information, it gets filled with stories and nobody knows what to believe. But going back to what you were saying initially, I'm not worried for some reason. Maybe I should be, but for me, I think there's no point in drip feeding us stuff. That's the kind of thing we've been used to. It doesn't do anybody any good. It might have a short-term gain in kind of like, quietening everybody down. But in terms of like being strategic and being kind of professional about it, once they've got the EFL ratification, as long as that takes, I read one of Andrea's tweets today, I think it's going to take 92 days. But yeah, that kind of is a worry, the length of time. But as soon as that's done, I think literally it will be like Jess said, bang, bang, bang. And I think that they're getting their ducks in a row. I do believe what generally what the Yorkshire Post says, Yorkshire Evening Post. So I don't know. I feel quietly confident about everything. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know.
Graham Smith seems to be correct though on a lot of things recently. Like Graham Smith,
don't get me wrong. I'm not digging out him. I really,
I know that.
really,
I didn't think you were. I didn't think you were.
No, cool.
No,
cool.
I was just saying in terms of this stuff that is coming out, because from listening to the Yorkshire Evening Post podcast, they said that there was all the Robin Koch had a loan clause, and then he went, a free clause. He could leave Leeds for nothing. And Graham Smith said he went to the club and asked the club, and the club said, nope, not true, doesn't have it. And then this stuff came out on Friday that Vieira was going to be announced on Friday, and Graham Smith went, nope, not going to happen because they're interviewing today. And again, he seems to be not telling anyone what's going on, but be the one that's popping in and going, that's not true. And then it turns out to not be true.
I mean, I was told the Vieira was done. I even came on your stream while I was at work, and I was going, "Yo, this is done. This is done." And then, I was gonna, what's the saying? Like,
take it to the bank.
Hang my flag to the mast.
Hang your hat on it.
Yeah, something like that.
To the mast.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then just before I came live, about an hour before, someone messaged me and went, "No, Joe, I've heard there's something come up." So I don't know. Just on the
Joe,
Robbie...
can I just say on my show, as somebody, I said something this morning, and somebody said in my chat, "Yeah, well, Joe said it was true," and I said, "Well, I'm sorry."
So were you digging me out this morning? Do I have to go back and watch that breakfast show?
No, but
they take everything
you say as gospel, Joe.
A lot of it is. Hail the Messiah, like Alex says.
I questioned everything that I thought I knew when you said Vieira's definitely happening, because I went, he was right about Bielsa, and everyone.
You were
right. I'm like, if he's right.
I was told that though, genuinely, but obviously you get told. Listen, I was told yesterday an announcement at 4. I didn't think that was the case though. This person that told me, I was a bit like, no.
Was that at 4:30? You heard that?
No, but then at 3 o'clock. The YEP posted an article about Daniel Farker's record, and I went, "Ooh, announcement imminent," but no, it didn't happen.
we got Alf and McCall leaving, didn't we? That were our announcement.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's all fun, innit? It's not real life.
Got to laugh.
It's YouTube. It's not real life. Andrea, I'm going to dig out Kate now because she's just dug me out. Do you think she's naive? Because I know the YEP have said, I talked about it earlier on. I think it's unrealistic that Leeds United can keep holding on to Adams. Who's the other one that they want to keep hold of? Harrison. Maybe the only one's Volpe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we keep.
Yeah, realistically, I think the only one we can have hopes to keep is Wilber, because Nyoto, his agent, said that he cannot play. Literally, he cannot play in the Championship. In that interview we talked about earlier, he said he cannot play in the Championship. So that's quite clear. That's categorical, from his agent. Then the others, of course, there's rumors about relegation clauses in their contract. Yeah. Not just like Christensen and Llorente, the loan clauses, but in terms of money that you have to pay, of course, to release the player from the contract. And there's rumors about Adams, which is around it's 30 million pounds. And Harrison, there's rumors about 60 million pounds. So I think Harrison is pretty low, actually, compared to his value.
Yeah.
While Adams, I don't know if there's a club that is willing to pay 30 million, but maybe they can try to negotiate with Leeds for a lower fee. But yeah, but apart from that, from the players, I'm on the same page with Kate actually about the ownership situations. That I'm worried a bit about the delay about the EFL, of course, because I've seen the length of time about Huddersfield, 92 days. Then went today to check other takeovers, 55 days for Coventry, 56 days for Sunderland, 43 per Birmingham. It's a long length of time actually, and it's already 3 weeks. So.
But they said it would be done within sort of 2 to 3 weeks, didn't they? And 3 weeks will be up this weekend.
Days. The initial thing was they expected it done within a couple of days.
Aren't we already, because we came in 2018, these guys, didn't they? So they've already done some checks on them.
Yeah,
it's the EFL though, isn't it?
It's the EFL, exactly. Because the EFL different. It's like Judge said, they changed the rules and the test the day before actually the statement for the club came out, and so everybody has to go to the new test. The new director test again, so they had to start from scratch. The thing that happened in 2018, they didn't matter because of course these are new tests, so that's why there's these delays too. But yeah, once it's done, and hopefully pretty soon, because it's influencing the state of affairs, is delaying everything, and it will affect the transfer campaign, the appointment of the manager. But as once it's done, I think all the dominoes will fall into place, and everything will unlock. So that will be the positive news, bringing more positive news too.
Yeah, I've just seen a tweet. I don't know if you have caught this earlier. Someone set up a Nick Hammond Twitter account. I don't know how people fall for this stuff.
I've seen it.
I don't know how they fall for it. Yeah, I mean, Lockie, are you worried? Should we be worried? Because my thing is, right, I've been having banter and arguments with Locks all day on our group chat, telling him he's signing Zagash and that he's been frothing at the mouth. But it seems that nearly every single championship club's starting to get the ducks in a row, and the longer we leave it, the worse it's going to get. I mean, am I being dramatic?
No, I think the word I use, I think it's not ideal. It's not what we want. It's not what should happen. I think from the second we got relegated, there's been delay in some way with the ownership. It's just all been set back a little bit. But for me, yeah, I'm looking at this weekend. I think if there's nothing clear this weekend, then we begin to worry. Because imagine as a player, you come back to your club, you don't know who the manager of your club is. Yeah. And that's the start of the season. They're
back on Monday, right, Lockie? They're back on Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday. Training on Monday. Yeah.
Imagine being a player in the start of the season, when you're getting into the mood of the season, it's very vital, and you've not got a coach. That needs to be sorted as soon as possible.
100%.
We're proper doing the return to the EFL, weren't we? We're doing properly Leeds way. We're starting a season with no manager. We're doing it the old school way.
Yeah, we always do, don't we? Yeah, it's not worried yet. And I think as a fan base, we're all just kind of getting used to this new ownership.
Yeah,
we're not used to it. Well. We've had, 5-6 years of a lot of stuff leaking on Twitter every day. Now it's just how they do it. But I believe in Parag.
Not just leaking on Twitter, actually Twitter DMing YouTubers. Bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's weird to think. Imagine Parag messaging.
This is what I say.
It's crazy. Yeah. So
I'm replying to tweets.
Yeah, it's mental. It is mental.
But I actually
all right.
I actually think there is a manager in place. I think it is. I think the deal's been done.
Think that as well.
I think it's been done, and I think literally signings are beginning to sort of they're thinking about signings, and that's why I don't know. I just feel it in my bones. I just feel calm about it. I'm not worried.
There's no rumors anymore. There's no rumors or anything now.
It's probably going to be 99% Farke. They're all waiting for the takeover. Just today we talked with Jer about it because we have to consider this. Probably the manager, of course.
Oh, did Jer do a show? Did he? Lunchtime? Did he?
No. We messaged each other.
Never invites me on, Never invites.
Do you know what you?
Because I think that we should consider too is that right now Radrizzani is still the legal owner of Leeds United, so everybody has to go through him.
Sure.
To this day, so the appointment of Hammond and the appointment of the manager too. The current board. With all the years the people still in until it's not done yet.
Yeah, but
they have to sign the things off.
But the frustrating thing is, bloody Radrazani's out here signing Andrea Pirlo.
Yeah. Tomorrow he's in Genoa having the press conference tomorrow. So probably, hopefully, think about Leeds too, but I don't think so, honestly.
No. Someone should go over. Andrea, you should go to that press conference, right, at the back, and just say, what's going on with Leeds?
Yeah, but they're all focused on Sampdoria, so probably, hopefully, it will come out from his mouth, because he likes to. He will talk about his previous experiences, about what he's done at Leeds, of course, the promotion, bringing Bielsa. I don't know if someone will ask if he's still the owner, because legally he's still the owner right now. So he'll have to sign off the appointment of the manager. He'll have to sign off the appointment and the signing of some players.
Has to sign the contracts because he's the owner.
Yeah, exactly. Jess was right about that, actually. Jess was right about that. Because right now we can announce the manager because, of course, we have the current owner just focused on Sampdoria.
Exactly.
But that's the same
So
with
I
the
think
statements.
it's all being arranged in the background, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree with that as well. Okay, I think you bang on. I think, like you say, it is dominoes about to fall, right? And hopefully loads will.
Doesn't it? Has to.
Yeah.
There can't be nothing done at this point. Like, whether it's lining things up or having talks, I don't think you can just be in a situation like it wouldn't be this quiet if it was panic behind the scenes.
No.
And that's the thing as well. And
that's not their style. That's not the 49ers Enterprises style. Do you know what I mean? They're not amateurs. They kind of know what to do.
Professional.
I keep going back to the thing we talked about last week. 23 managers they interviewed in over 31 days, and they got flack from the fans for taking too long, which was exactly what we're doing now. And they stuck to it and they believed in the process and they reckon they got the right person. So
100%. And Radaby Leeds says, when Phil A goes on holiday, nothing is imminent. All we can do is hope Farker is sort of behind the scenes. Everyone hoping he's lined up. I'll ask that question. Is everyone happy now with the? I mean, I think it is Farker, and my only thing is about there'd been ducks in a row. Like, if Farker has signed on the dotted line, for example, right? What you laughing at, Joe?
I just doesn't matter.
No. So why haven't I thought we'd have heard something, because surely Farker's told his wife and she's told her friends, and then eventually it comes out somewhere.
His wife clearly can't be trusted, Joe.
No, but what I'm saying is, why haven't we heard anything to say yes, he is the manager? All we've got
because
is
maybe he hasn't signed on the dotted line yet. He probably hasn't actually signed. He couldn't sign, could he? Until they had absolute ownership of the club.
Do you reckon it's like an agreement that he will be, but it's not actually officially signed?
Gentleman's agreement.
Exactly. Exactly.
Same as Hammond has. I'd say it's possibly a short-term thing. No point in announcing it. But if he's, I don't know. People don't get into court battles with American companies that often because they tend to know the legal system pretty well and they tend to know their way around. They have huge legal teams. They'll have a ton. They could easily have a ton of stuff lined up in the background, and we don't know. He could have signed a non-disclosure agreement. His wife may have signed a non-disclosure agreement. He's not going to mess this up. So the flip side to it is, if we assume the worst for a second, then they're putting us in a hell of a place to start the season.
But I don't assume the worst. I'm not prepared to go down that. I'm entertain that. It's too negative, Jer. Come on.
No, I'm just saying I'm on the middle on this going. I think the good stuff is happening, but we don't know for a fact. So you can't rule out. And again, we've been here before. Like, we've had Chilino, we've had Bates. We know what crazy summers look like, and we've had crazier things happen in silence.
Yeah, true. Hopefully, are we all? Surely we can't get to Friday without a new manager, though, right?
No, Thursday.
We need the takeover to happen this week at this point.
Yeah,
because if the FL doesn't give the green light, we have like I said, the owner in Genoa thinking about Sampdoria. He doesn't care anymore about Leeds, of course. Yeah. So the only thing that can happen to unlock this situation is the takeover, so the 49ers can start making the announcements, signing the contract, because they have full power. They can sign whatever contract they want. They can have whoever they want without consulting the still legally majority owner. That's for me.
100%. I agree. Listen, there's nearly 1,000 people in the chat, folks. If you haven't already, please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check everyone's channels out as well. And of course, Andrea's Twitter. Their links are in the description to this video. I just want to say, say good luck to Alfie McCalmont as well. He's joined Carlisle United on a permanent deal. How's the mood with Adam Forshaw signing a 1-year deal? Kate, I'm going to come to you first.
I know why you are.
Wait till Bamford's gets announced.
Don't. Do you know? I got hammered for this, understandably, but I did have some sort of supporters as well. I get. I got all the same lines trotted out, we can't have all new players. The old guard have got to play a part and all this, yada, yada, yada. I'm sick of hearing it. To be honest with you, yes, he probably was the best of a bad bunch towards the end of last season. He did make a difference in a very, very, very poor team. That does not make him, in my opinion, necessarily the right person to be in the team moving forward. Perhaps coming off the bench from time to time, but really that to me smacked of desperation. And I don't really know if I knew the context in which he was signed, I'd feel happier. But that to me just seemed a little bit like, God, better just in case, And I just thought, I don't need to hear that right now. Do you know what I mean? I need a manager in place first, and then we'll talk about keeping the old guard, because it's only going to get worse. We've got bloody Ayling, and then we've got Bamford. I mean, it's just, I feel like eating my own face, really.
Yeah. just on that, right? Like I believe, according to
Great
to sources, well, Capology basically, Adam Forshaw's reportedly on around about 20 grand a week. Okay, which is next to nothing, right? He's got a year left on his deal.
He does.
He'll have been given less than that to stay at Leeds United, 100%.
So you're thinking about 10 then a week to stay.
Well, let's say it's been given 10 grand a year for a year extension. Is it that bad of a deal, Kit? Because, like you said, he was the better of the midfielders. Admittedly, they were poor. I'm not saying he should be starting over JB, not even over Archie Gray, but to have someone that come on and of course we'll probably buy midfielders, but let's say it is half of what he's on now, 10 grand a week for a year. That's not that.
No, I do get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I do, as long as it's just a year. And as long as he comes off the bench, I'd have done a pay and play personally.
Yeah, well, they may well have, mightn't they? They may well have. Yeah, definitely. They may well have.
I'd say the deal is because it's labeled as being reduced terms, is what they've labeled the contract as. Right. So that would be reduced terms across all the terms. I would imagine he's incentivized for playing matches. I'd say it's 10 grand a week. You play 20 grand a week. Back up to your normal salary. You don't play, it's back down to 10. But I think he's a smart player to have around the place for that. That's nothing. And if you're going to have kids out there as well and sign 1 or 2. There's no harm in having an Adam Forshaw on your squad. No. And if he is fit and can play, he'll make a difference in the championship. And if he can't play, you've got other players ahead of him and he's not costing that much. So. Yeah,
100%. Especially when you consider you've got players. Weston McKennie was getting paid 75 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? Mark Rocker, 50 grand. Brendan Aronson, 45 grand.
Forshaw did in 20 minutes what McKennie did in 90 minutes in one match.
This is what I'm saying about. So I don't think it's it's that bad. I'm actually quite positive about the deal, if I'm honest. I think it's a smart move. Do people agree?
Yeah.
Well, if that's on reduced terms, it's good, of course.
Yeah.
On different perspectives, on a different scenario, instead, I won't keep him, like I said the last time, because there's we should try and get a player with certain characteristics like him, of course, but not him to be quite clear, because he's unfortunately injury prone too. But if the contract is on reduced term, he'll probably have a behind the scenes role too in the dressing room in terms of leadership and as a veteran. But then you have to guess. But has that been available by the new manager? Will that be available by the new manager? Because sometimes the new manager don't like certain players having a specific role in the dressing room, and maybe he won't agree with that. So honestly, on the playing side, I would rather have a player like championship-wise Ben Pearson. Honestly, that type of player, not specifically Ben Pearson, rather than Forshaw right now on the playing side. But if that's the case of reduced terms, of course, he won't be a starter, he won't be a substitute, but more of a squad player, helping behind the scenes in terms of his leadership and experience, in the day-to-day operations, at the training ground with the younger players,
There was talk last year that he was doing his coaching badges anyway.
I was just going to say on that, I think the club are getting ready to transition him into a coaching role potentially in a year or two.
Yeah.
If that's his mindset, if that is his mindset, is good actually for him.
And what I actually think as well, in terms of the old guard, as they keep getting called, which is fine. I actually think in terms of what he can offer off the pitch, for me, from the outside looking in, he gives me the most positive vibes.
Yeah.
You never hear anything negative.
Yeah,
at all,
exactly.
He's a professional. He's a professional.
Exactly.
Perfect professional, yeah.
So if you're going to keep one of them, I mean, I think we'll keep them all, if I'm honest, because no one will really want them. But he would be the main one that I would pick. And like you say, if he's got... Go on.
I was just quickly going to say as well, the adversity has come through with the injuries. To come through that, was it hip or back injury?
Yeah.
That is inspiring as a young player. You know, someone that might be going through similar struggles. You know, to have a guy like that who's been in dark places in terms of injury, you know, it'd be real helpful for some young players.
Yeah,
so that's
100%.
part of it.
It looks as well like, I think again you can maybe link this to the potential ducks falling in a row and stuff. Is the fact that we're now being linked to players, and it's not just guesswork; it's coming from credible sources in Phil here. Okay, what does everyone make to Nat Phillips? I've seen a little video of him, Cruyff turning in the San Siro in the box, and I'm like, yeah, you'll do for me, son.
Perfect replacement for Diego Llorente then.
No, but go on, Joe. You looked a little bit downbeat about it. Do you not like it?
He's 26 years of age. He's played 55 career matches. It's not a lot. He's been two loan spells, played 17 games last year.
He was on loan from January, though.
Sorry, okay, fair enough. Yeah, but 17 games last year, 19 on loan at Stuttgart, and has played 19 in total for Liverpool. It's not a huge amount of games.
Two promotions, Stuttgart and Bournemouth.
Yeah. That's my issue is just the amount of games he's played for a 26-year-old, because he's not. I mean, that's the middle of your 20s, like the turning point of your 20s. You're now heading into your prime years, and you've only got 55 games behind you as a pro. You know, that he did fine last year at Bournemouth, you know, and he'd definitely be okay in the championship. I think we do need better players in that position, but I think Liverpool have shafted him in a little bit because they've had a lot of injury problems, haven't they? So they've always kept him around as opposed to sending him on loan for a season. Like we look at last year, he played six games all in all.
Yeah,
could have gone on loan and done really well.
It's like Jesse Lingard though as well. Like there's these players at these clubs who have been around for so long and have been potential players and is going to make the breakthrough. Then you realize Jesse Lingard turned 30 this year, and like, well, his career's finished, isn't he? He hasn't kicked the ball yet. Really.
Listen, Lingard was a baller. At
he was. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But he spent the bulk of his career sitting on the bench waiting for his moment that never came. And then when he did leave, he had a really good time at West Ham. He looked brilliant when he was on loan at West Ham. And then he went last year to Nottingham Forest and just didn't really do a whole lot at Forest last year.
He looked so out of shape as well, Jack.
He went there for the wrong reasons.
And he's 30 years of age. And you got Nat Phillips is probably in a similar bracket as well, as Lockie's just sitting around waiting for his moment to get his chance.
This might be, coming to Leeds, having that actual contract at the club might be the moment in his career where, he establishes himself. And
it's very possible. It could be. Look, he could be great. I think I would like more tried and trusted players because we're going to have a lot of young players in the team this year. I would like them to not have a middle-aged football player. Not middle-aged in terms of middle-aged in life, but you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Kind of a football player.
I don't know why you're not sold on it. I think it's a great deal. I genuinely think it's a great deal.
Is it a loan move, is it?
No, I think it's going to be a permanent.
10 million.
I don't think that's what they want. That's what they want. So I don't think we'll pay that.
5.8 is what he's valued at.
I wouldn't be paying 10 million for him.
I've actually got some passing stats on him real quick because people. I know the misconception is, he's
just a brute, isn't it? But he can actually play, right?
His season in Bournemouth was 17 games. His short completion rate passing was 86%, and his medium-term passing success rate was 91%. Now, I've got all the stats here for Max Vober, who was 79%. Robin Koch was 84%. And Liam Cooper was 84 as well. And Charlie Creswell at Millwall last season got 1 minute, where's that? I can't find it. I'm on the wrong thing. 1 second. Apologies. Charlie Creswell got 79%. So in terms of ball playing centre backs, it might not be this world class one, but in terms of what we have,
Yeah,
He's
Can
fine.
do you know what? Just on
Okay.
that as well, I'm going to share this from LUFC data.
Is that what we
I've
do? We
seen
just
it.
want fine though.
know what
Do
you're
we just?
I want to send our. I want
Yeah.
defenders that can defend 1v1. That's my biggest
Exactly,
concern.
Jeff.
Is
Yeah.
how many duels have they won 1v1?
If you look at this though here, right, this is obviously comparing Nat Phillips and Robin Koch. Remember, Robin Koch thinks he's a German international. But if you look at the greens that Nat Phillips has over Robin Koch,
Yeah.
admittedly, you've got
Tackles won successful tackles because that's where we're bad. Let's be honest about it. We're not, passing out the back is not the problem. Stopping players running past us is a problem. 24 versus there's less games, so that's not going to be.
Yeah, it's difficult. I know it's difficult, but I honestly think for the price that we could get him, and I think he's not played a lot of football, but he's got a vast amount of experience for me, especially when you consider he has gone to Bournemouth, he has gone to Stuttgart and got promoted. Listen, I was having this debate with Locks, right? They're obviously looking at Connor Cody. I'd prefer Nat Phillips to Connor Cody. Connor Cody struggled to get in at an Everton side that got relegated. I think for me, I think Nat Phillips alongside, Max Fober, or if it's Creswell, however we're going to play, I think it's solid as. He's like 6 foot odd. I like it, man. I like it.
My only problem with it is with him, he's also not the quickest. I think we do need a more athletic, quicker centre-back if we did sign him potentially. But then that takes away Creswell. You've got them problems there. So I think if you pair him up with someone different to him, that can, fit in the system we go for with Fark potentially, I think he could be absolutely fantastic in that sense. Yeah.
Is it who? What about left back? He's not left back, is he? This guy.
No.
So what are we doing about left back?
Ryan Manning's been linked a couple of times, but there's been nothing formal.
Joe Bryan is signed for Millwall.
Yeah, that could be a cheeky little nick to get that. Joe Bryan be a tight player in the Championship. Yeah,
I think a couple of years ago, yes, but his time's been and gone.
I don't think he's over the hill just yet, Joe.
Joe is a Championship player, not a Premier League
player.
But
he's not. You don't want him coming in to be starting at a team that's going to be winning the league.
I'd absolutely love Ryan Manning first choice.
Well, same with
me too,
same with Nat Phillips, though, Joe.
No, I disagree though, Kate.
Max Aarons was playing left back for England the other day when I watched them as well. So.
All this, can I just say as well, right? And I know people disagree, but I want to know from the chat, based on what is Connor Cody a good centre back? The guy was binned off from Wolves. The guy couldn't get in at Everton, can only play in a back three. And that's why Leicester are going for him, because they're probably going to play with Suter and Wout-Fess. He is not a good centre-back. Do you know what? He's good to have around the place. And I always remember what Roy Keane says. He says, what does he do? Play card tricks? What does he do? What does he do on an evening? Connor Cody is not a good centre-back. If he was, Sean Dyche, who knows a defender, wouldn't have dropped him. He's poor.
Yeah, absolutely with you in this. Actually, he's just an old school football marker, in my point of view. Because
I disagree.
Yeah, of course.
Let Andrea land, and then you can come back with your
of
retort.
course, yeah, I finished. So I'm intrigued to hear why Joe disagrees, because for me, if you look at Farke's system, he won't be good in that system.
Mm-hmm.
He's not good with the ball in his feet, in my point of view. He's not that good, obviously, because in the past he's played in as an old midfielder to the start of his terms with Wolves. But yeah, I don't like him as a player, honestly. He has bad positioning. Good on tackle. Good when he does man marking. But on the other sides of his game, I don't like him. I don't get why he was picked by England, honestly. Ahead of players like Tomori or other players like Ben White, too, for example, or Lewis Dunk. But yeah, on Nat Phillips, just let me add this. I don't like personally the player, but I get the idea, and I like the idea actually, because Farke has always played with two strong centre-backs, two tall, strong centre-backs who could pass. Of course, I won't go specifically for him, but if you look at the fact that in the Championship, that the experience that Joe mentioned, actually, it makes sense. It's logic. It's logical. It will be a logical signing. Of course, I won't spend 10 million on him. Of course, like they ask, I won't spend more than 4 million, honestly, to be fair, for Nat Phillips.
That's a really good point you made about Farke's system and the big centre back. So I read that. Yeah, in your tweet today. Agree. Sorry.
just before I come to Joe or Kate, whichever, those that are saying Cody's an England international, Michael Ricketts was an England international. Let's
Pat
not.
Bamford's an England international.
Yes, Pat Bamford's an England international. Let's relax a little bit, okay? Kate, do you want to go first or Joe?
I just wanted to ask Andrea, just out of interest, when you said that you wouldn't necessarily have him, who do you reckon would be a good fit then?
Well,
given
I would
those sort of criteria.
The two criteria can be one experience, and we have Wöber in that position. And if we keep Wöber, of course, I go for a younger one. And of course, I have lined up some names, of course.
Yeah, go tell. I really want to hear.
I would go for championship established player like Dal Fry. I like him from Borough, honestly. And then Ballard, like I mentioned,
Dale Fry.
Dale Fry, yeah. Then Ballard from Sunderland, I like him too.
Yeah.
Callum Doyle, I mentioned him quite a few times. Will be available on loan from Man City. I think he was very good for Coventry this season. I like too Tom Holmes actually from Reading. Of course, they had a woeful season, but I think he's good. He's strong. He's a similar player like to Nat Phillips, of course, but he can be cheaper, of course, in terms of a signing because Reading are in huge trouble. They have been they have a one-day petition now by HMRC, so they need to sell. Of course, they need to raise funds. They are in a similar situation like we were in 2004. You know.
Sure.
When Leeds were forced to sell a lot of players. But if you have to go with experience, you don't have to necessarily look at the Championship or the Premier League because there's not much apart from Phillips centre backs available in the Premier League right now. If you look at the squads, so if you have to look from abroad, probably the three names I will suggest. One is Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. Of course, he's not that tall, but he's very strong, I think, and he's good.
Tasty as well.
Yeah. And the other two I've lined up are Will Trostekong. You may remember him at Watford, already playing in the Championship. Now he's Salernitana, has had a good season. And Przemysław Wisniewski from Spezia, because he's similar to... He's like a tall Carter Vickers, you know?
Yeah,
he's tall like Phillips, but he has the passing, the marking of Carter Vickers, you know? Strong, but tall. Yeah. This one's
interesting.
Andrea, are you aware of any young potential loans that we could take from some of the bigger clubs at all? Just off the top of your head, it's okay if not.
No. It doesn't top of my head, you know, because of course we said it quite a few times, Joe, when we talk of us on the podcast, you know, on the show. I think we should go through the loan market, like Diallo the other night, you know, when we're talking about Diallo, and I like Doyle, and if Palmer is available, I give him a chance too. But of course, like I said, I think they'll try to loan him out to a lower Premier League side. But there's players out there, you know. If you look recently, you know, when Leicester loaned out Barnes to WBA, when we got Ben White, that market has opportunities at a cheaper price. And of course, you take players on with wages paid in part by their parent club too, but players with potential. And we did that with Ben White, but there's other examples like Diallo this season with Sunderland. Doyle, I like them. I think also another player that I really like in that loan market will be Brooklyn or Thorn Coffey, but of course we're really covered right now in that position with Christensen going out, with Keep Drummond and Ayling. But I think it's a good opportunity, the loan market, honestly, from the big clubs.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to, before Joe gives us his Cody propaganda, I like what Mouldy's put. As a Wolves fan, Cody can't defend. He's a liability one-on-one against any competent striker. He is slow on the turn. In a back three, yes. Back four, no. For England, he only played against Andorra. Joe, do you want to tell us why Cody's good?
Over 200 Premier League appearances. You don't do that if you're crap. He might not be. And come here, I'm saying this as in a hypothetical player who has not been linked with Leeds, by the way. This is not a player we're trying to sign. So justifying his positional sense, justifying any of that doesn't matter. It's hypothetical. We're not linked to the player. We're not going to be signing the player. No. I just said I think he's a better defender than you guys are giving him credit for. He's not crap. He's not shit. He's had over 200 appearances in the Premier League. That's not an accident. If we were talking about Liam Cooper, we'd be having the exact same argument.
Yeah.
Harry Winks has had a lot
That's
of
a good point.
appearances, and he's going to
Yeah.
Leicester as well.
And he
He's
did all right.
rubbish.
He did all right for a little bit and then went off the boil. Same as Dele Alli used to be a really good footballer till he wasn't. So players go through form dips, Joe.
Yeah, I have my idea of football, of course. So that type of player of Cody, of course, is playing in the Premier League consistently. So in certain systems, I think it's good.
Yeah,
Just like when he played at Wolves. But
Yeah,
I
and
don't
there's some
like
players that are
personally. And personally, I don't like the type of player, honestly, because when I look at center defenders right now in modern football, I try to look at a different characteristic, but just my idea of football, of course.
Yeah. But if you put the whole thing in context, right? We're talking of a player with less than 60 career appearances, who's 26 years of age, and saying he's a great player, he's going to be the next big player. And we're talking down a player with 200 Premier League appearances, which doesn't make any sense to me. The different players,
Who's the
ages,
better signing, Joe?
It depends on the money. It depends on the situation. I wouldn't be paying crazy money for either of the two of them. I agree with Andrea. I'd be paying.
Who would you prefer?
I go with a younger player, obviously, because you got more time with them as well. But I'm saying you can't talk one up who's only had a handful of appearances in a career and talk another one down who has had a career at a certain level. Like, that's a career, Cody.
And is a leader, and is admired for his immense
be
leadership qualities on the pitch.
From the bench.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, not just from the bench. But you gotta have a squad. The other thing as well is we talked about Conor Cody last year, and I'm pretty sure we talked about it on this show about Conor Cody last year. And if I'm not wrong, a lot of people would have taken him last year.
I would have as well. Yeah, I'm just playing.
I know, yeah, but like if you go down the division lower, there's a huge experience there. Someone said he's our equivalent. Everton's equivalent of Cooper, which is probably close to the mark. To be fair, would he do a job? Yeah, he hasn't had massive injury problems, so he would definitely be someone to have around there. Max Vober's going to be fit. What? 3 out of every 6 games? 3 out of every 5 matches?
I don't even think Max Vober will stay. I think he'll have one of them loan clauses, me.
I can't see them all leaving on loan though, because that's just going to be a weird. I keep saying this. Can you imagine? Let's assume everyone goes out on loan who's been rumored to go out on loan. Yeah. They'll go off, have their jollies for a year because they're not playing in the championship. Meanwhile, the rest of this team and whoever gets brought in scraps to get out of this league, back into the Premier League, and they all walk back into the dressing room. Oh, yeah, lads.
Makes me sad.
That's going to rip the dressing room down the middle.
Most of the guys, especially the ones, I don't think they'll play for Leeds again.
No, I don't think they'll ever play. I think this way I don't think I'm not bothered. And Joe, you said this the other day, and I thought you were bang on the money with it. I'm not bothered about the loan moves.
No.
If the 49ers have got cash and they're okay with this to go, I mean, they could do what they wanted. They could sign these guys on new contracts. They could get rid of that clause pretty quickly by doing that. These are players that, and Kate, you said this on my show last week. These are players that brought us down. They weren't good enough for us. Mark Rockett is a player that most people thought, outside of the odd game, wasn't good enough. If they do go, Robin Koch the same, you should be happy to see them leave the club. And the wages will go with them. That'll be the minimum. There might be a loan fee for some of these players. There might not be. But we're not selling these people to get them back next year. We're selling them so their market value stays at what it should be when we bought them or goes up slightly so we can sell them for the price that we should be getting and not a panic relegation fire sale that we've done before. So there's context in this as well. Like if the 49ers are comfortable doing that and it's not going to affect incoming players, smart move. If you can get more money for these guys next year than this year, and you can sit on your hands and wait, go for it.
We're not in a position, are we? Where
they're not going to be starters, unfortunately, in my opinion. They're not going to be starters. So it's a risk either way, of course, because let's take the example of Christensen. If they put the option to buy, he just has to rival Salik at Roma. So maybe he takes the place of Salik, plays very well, and we have they have the option to buy around 7 million. Actually they're talking about it lower right now. So about 6 million probably. We paid 10 million for him. Then he plays very, very well. His transfer value raises at the end of the season, and they get him for a lower fee, of course. And we have a loss, of course, in terms of financially, because we paid 10 million and we sell him for 6 million. Let's say. On the other hand, if he doesn't play well, they don't exercise the option to buy. He gets back, and there'll be not much interest around him, and we will be forced to sell him around 3 million. 4, 5, not 3, of course.
He's not in that ballpark of concerning transfer fees, because we've this conversation about where Leeds sit in the transfer market, and Leeds were in that, not to 5 million bracket at one point. Then it was the 10 to 20 million last season, probably 25, 30 million bracket. We're not in the 50 to 60s or 80 million bracket yet. I probably won't be for a while now. But if we bought him for 10 million and he's had a really bad season, and they've, publicly slating this guy on a regular basis because of how bad he's played.
Bit like Bamford and
Correct.
Ayling.
And someone comes in and goes, well, he's probably worth 6 million. You can't argue that. You can't turn around and say, well, actually, you should be worth more than that because of what? You've been saying he's been crap all year and he's not playing anymore. So we'll give you 6 for him and you're rid of him. And I think Leeds will be happy enough with that. The goal here is to try and get back in as much money as you can without making a massive loss on these players. But you are going to make a loss on these players because they're not first team players. They're not good enough to be that level. The hope is, though, that they go off and end up being in the first team. Or another club in that division sees that player and goes, actually, yeah, we'll pay it. We want them. Yeah. So, and you do need competition. Like Roma and other clubs that have been in with these players are going to want 2 players in every position because they're going into European competitions. They've got their own domestic cup competitions. They need a thick squad. So they need 2 players in every position. We didn't have that. We didn't need it. So there is still a fee. And if somebody says 10 million for a right back and you're playing European football every season, 10 million is not an awful lot of money. No. And if you lose 2 million on that and we get 8 for, or lose 4 and get 6.
The problem is, isn't it, Joe? We've overpaid for a lot of these players, haven't we?
Yeah, you're into 15, and now they're talking about £4 million as the obligation to buy.
I think we're getting done by Roma because Roma clearly want to play because they had him last season and he played a couple of games. But Mourinho always spoke positively of him when he was interviewed and asked about him. And here they are asking for him for a second season on loan, but saying, "Oh, but he's not worth that money." He's like, "Well, then don't take him on loan."
Yeah, why do you want him?
we'll take him back then, and we'll loan him somebody else who pay the fee. But if so they clearly Roma want him. This is a bad move if they take anything less than 6 million for the guy. 10 million, I would have been, 10's fair. We bought him for 18. His stock has dropped a little bit. 10, fair, fine. Christensen was, I think we all described it as well at the time as Christensen was a free hit. It was 10 million quid. It was, if it doesn't work out, it's 10 million quid. It's not going to break the bank. And if it works out well, great. It's a bargain. And we're in that bracket with him now where it's not it was a bargain, hasn't worked out, and now we're trying to get something back from, but it's not the end of the world. Llorente, I think we're having our lunch stolen on a little bit because he is still an international player.
Romo's smart. Thiago Pinto is very smart, and of course they have their financial limits, so they're trying to loan in players and sell other players, especially young players, to other Italian clubs. But my worry about this actually, if those players don't perform well during their season on loan, then they come back. Imagine if we haven't gone back to the Premier League. We'll have a larger squad because we will have brought in players for the Championship for this season. Yeah. Then we have returning players with a transfer value lowering down, of course, falling down, and higher wages. So, of course, they're on good contracts to 2026, 2027. So, of course, we need to understand fully the situation about those contracts. If they return after the season on loan because they have these relegation clauses, will they remain and retain the original wages if we're still in the Championship, or will the wages automatically drop if they return and we're still in the Championship? But because of that, of course, I worry because I've seen this example to other clubs in the past when they didn't get promoted at the first time of asking, like Sunderland, the other time, and they affected their finances badly. But
Stoke City, man, look at the
Stoke City and other clubs, they didn't get promoted, but like Derby, for example, and got relegated in the end. But the main point is that right now, of course, there might be this problem, but I trust, of course, like you just said, and the other said, the new ownership, because they are professionals, so they know to deal about these things. Of course, it's not their fault, because this is Horta legacy in the end.
Yeah.
This is Horta legacy. People are blaming the
49ers.
The 49ers, but of course, they were on the ball, of course, but they were minority owners. So I think it's mainly on the majority owner, the CEO too, because they're not talking about this, because the CEO signs the contract and obviously is those procedures. And of course, the main fault is on the director of football, Victor Horta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to ask, I'm going to come to Lockie, but White Peacock Andy says, was it the players that got relegated or the manager? I think them all. Everyone's culpable.
All of it.
Everyone. Yeah, everyone's culpable. Lockie, we've also, I guess, do you think Leeds United are going about it the right way? Because Leeds United, for me, for what we're hearing, we're looking at Jason Mulumbai, I think, from West Brom. We've been linked to the guy Sam Field from QPR that Joe told me off air that he won their Player of the Year last season. Do you think Leeds United are going, it looks like we're operating, looking at youngish English or, UK-based players? Do you think Leeds United, or would you prefer them to go and get a Cody and a Harry Winks that's been linked to less? Because these are our rivals now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is who we're going to be competing with. What are your thoughts?
I think in terms of the big names, the Codys and the Winks, you have to be careful because they'll be on big wages, right?
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned earlier, with Stoke, players like that, they get the best players in there, and it doesn't always work because they're there for the wrong reasons. I think by getting players who are fairly young, have good experience of the league they're in, who statistically performed really well last year, especially Field, who was outstanding defensively, one of the best in the league. You're establishing a team that wants to play, they want to achieve the next level, and they'll want to do it for Leeds. You think about Nat Phillips, he'll be looking now for that home, a team to really take into him and improve his career and become something. So I like it. I think we do need a bit of spice in there, and I think that'll come when the international window opens. I think we'll sign a few decent foreign players then. But for now, I think getting players that know the Championship, have been good in the Championship for decent fees on not the highest wages is extremely sensible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I just add in there though? You said there, Lockie. He's looking for a club to sort of give him a sort of stable run and help develop his career. I mean, we're not a charity. We're not a charity case. Do you know what I mean? We're not here for that purpose. We're here to basically get ourselves back into the Premier League. And I don't think if he's not the best player we can get our hands on, I don't think we should be entertaining him.
All I can take on him, obviously I've not watched him every game, but I've got a mate who's a Liverpool fan, and he said whenever he came in for Liverpool, he was solid. Yeah. Klopp really liked him. That's
why wasn't he playing more then?
Well, Klopp didn't want to send him on loan either because he wanted to keep him there. It's really weird with him because he did really well at Bournemouth last season.
Like Gallagher.
Yeah, they did. I mean, on loan the year after. It's mental.
I spoke to Gav earlier on from the LFC day trippers just to get some, and he said, I mean, I knew this anyway because people used to say, like, jokingly, like he would head his nan, like in order to get to a ball. Like he basically said, look, he heads everything. He's a good footballer. He's good on the ball and an excellent defender. And he asked me how much. I said 10 million, but that's what Liverpool want. I don't think we'll pay that. Maybe rising. And he said it's a great deal, and I do have to agree with that. I mean, Kate, what would you prefer us to go out and get a Cody, someone in that bracket? Would that be your preference?
My preference would be somebody who is basically solid and dependable. Do you know what I mean? And I like, a big centre back. And if that's what he is, and that he might well prove to be. Yeah. Sure. And I'd be happy with that. What I don't want us to do is go out and rush and make a rush buy and regret it, because the defense is something that we need to have down this season without a doubt.
Yeah.
Clean sheet United, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think as well. I'll come to you, Jay. I think Lockie makes a great point, and I know Andrea's touched on this previously on Twitter. I think with Daniel Farke, like we've seen with Company, someone's just made the reference of Company in the chat there as well. I think it was Mouldy, big up Mouldy. Company bought a lot from the Belgium league. Having been over there at Anderlecht, he brought players over. Joe, when we've seen Farke previously at Norwich, he's brought a lot of Germans in from that league, people he's got knowledge of, and I think Lockie's bang on. I think if Farke is that man, we'll get the players that the club have earmarked. It looks like Nick Hammond for me is the one that's looking at players like Nat Phillips, etc., saying, right, these will do for what you need right now. And then someone like Farke might say, like Nick Hammond mentioned that relationship he had with Eddie Howe. He was clear. He wanted this. He wanted that. I think Daniel Farke, having worked in the Bundesliga for a full season, can look at players that might be towards the bottom end of that league and say, they'll come over here and they'll do a good job. Does that fill you confidence? I know it does me, because the exports that Farke brought over at Norwich, a lot of them were successes.
Yeah, completely agree. I would say, yes, I would be confident in the short term. What we have seen firsthand is that players that come from the Bundesliga from the lower half of it don't work out particularly well in the Premier League. So because between Austria
Let's talk
and
about
the
now,
Bundesliga-
though.
Oh, no, I
Let's
am.
talk about
I'm
now.
just saying, I did in the short term. The short term, I think it's a really good idea. From a long-term perspective,
I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to be
I know
positive.
you are. And I'm just trying to say, you don't want to bring in a player and sign him on a 3-year deal and then get to the Premier League and realize it's Rasmus Christensen in the Premier League. I mean, you don't want that to happen again. So, but I think it's everything everybody's already said. I think smart recruitment is going to happen here. I think Nick Hammond and Farke will be sensible and smart to make clever decisions. I think that they bring in players that will do exactly what we need them to do. He's going to want to play a certain style of football. We now know historically the kind of football that gets you out of the Championship is attacking, fast-paced football. We've seen it in the Bielsa, we've seen it in the Farke, and we saw it on their company last year with Brighton as well. They play a really attacking football. Eddie Howe did it as well. So that's the style. If you want to get out of the Championship, you've got to play that style of free-flowing attacking football and go for it. You're going to need to have players around that can do that. You're going to need have defenders that can defend 1v1 because they're going to be left exposed at times. You're going to need to have experienced players down the middle of your park because if you don't have them, you're going to get caught out of shape. So they need to have that spine. So the recruitment's got to be a mixture for me. If the old guard are not going to be used, and regardless of what we think about it, it'll be the manager's decision whether he decides to use them or not. There are still reinforcements needed across the entire midfield and the back line.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's on top of the younger players. If we're going to go with an experienced young partnership, then I'd like to see Verber and Creswell go together and the two of them to do that. They're already there, Drama in the right, and then look at getting a left back because it looks like Leo Hjeld has been looked at by a couple of clubs at a possible loan move as well for a year. So you might need to fill that void. Pascal Strike could do well in the Championship as a younger centre back as well, but they've got to get smart decisions. If he brings German players in, German players tend to be pretty technically good. They tend to be very well organised, as all Germans tend to be. At that level, I would trust his judgment, especially, as you said, having the year in the Bundesliga. But I think when it gets to the next step, there's going to need to be a smarter look at it, if, again, assuming we even get there.
Yeah, but it's a good idea, actually. But the one you talk about, bringing in players from the lower side of the Bundesliga, of course, because it's a whole different league and it's a top tier league, and they're always, it's a technical league, especially like just said, they're pretty good technically, the Germans. And if you look at AC Milan last year when they brought in Malik Chow from Schalke just got promoted back to the Bundesliga from the Zweite Bundesliga. It's far better than their cock. It's worked out really, really well, and it was a very cheap signing. But if you look at the Bundesliga, you just went through that after what Joe said, and there's maybe Reece Oxford, for example. There's Sab Vanderberg still from Liverpool. He played at Schalke this season. There's players out there too. So maybe Aaron Mashovic, Bochum. Of course, it's a good idea actually because he did it last time. They brought players in for cheap. There were bargains. Those signings at Norwich, Zimmerman, Stieperman, those kind of player tribal. And of course, I will go for more experienced players or players that already know the Championship, Maybe bringing in players from the German league, the lower Bundesliga or the Zweite Bundesliga too, maybe as their first choice from the bench, honestly. In terms of certain players, for example, Mashovic is very good at Bochum. They escaped relegation the last end of the season. Do I see him starting in the Championship for a club challenging for promotion? No, but if he adapts, he can challenge for the position too. They have to adapt for the starting position, to the different league. But you have alternatives in that point. You have to need depth in the end. What we missed for the last few seasons. If we have depth, we have a better chance to go up straight with automatic promotion.
Yeah. No,
I keep saying, do Newcastle go to the back first. Sort out the defense, sort out the goalkeeping, make sure we've got a good back line and a good defense.
From the links, it feels like that's what we're kind of hedging to as well.
Yeah. Owen Foley says, go for Max Harrens, Jamal Lewis, and fullbacks and Shaw. Why don't we go for Pookie? I don't know if you're aware, mate, but Pookie moved earlier on. Someone actually
looks delighted as well. Looks delighted.
So yeah.
Look at that neck. Look at that neck.
Do you know what, though? It's not that bad, right? Wait there, right? So obviously that is me, yeah? That is me, as we know. But to be honest, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but we don't look that different from one another.
Joe, I'm really disappointed in you, mate. I mean, the slimmest amount of fame, and you've gone for a big money move to the States immediately.
No, look, it's not. I mean, he's better looking than me, but his airbrush there.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely dead ringer, mate. Dead
Sorry,
ringer.
Joe, where's the Timu Pookie picture you're going to show us? Where is it?
It's brilliant. So yeah, he's gone to America as Timu Pookie, so it's good.
He'd be a record goal scorer over there. He'll absolutely smash over there. He's going to destroy that league.
He'll probably outscore Messi as well.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like he's finished right now.
Not even close. Oh my god.
That was really bad.
That was excellent.
It was good. It's good. We're coming up to an hour, and I was late, and I don't want to keep everyone. I love doing this though when we all get together. It's great. So thank you all for giving up your time for me. Look, we asked this last time we did one. I said, when will we have a manager announced? And I think me and Andrea said Monday, so we're already out. But let's go around again. See how they're confident, because I was bullish. I was like, yeah, Monday. Now I genuinely am worried that it won't even be Friday. So I'm going to go for Friday. That's where I'm at right now. Joe, where you at, mate? When's the manager getting announced?
Well, like I went into full conspiracy theory overdrive yesterday. I was like, still no announcement. Hang on, Raul's playing this game tonight, isn't he?
That's what I would do. Yeah.
As soon as that's over, I've gone through this. It's definitely Daniel Farke. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Carlos Corberán because he takes a lot of boxing. No, it's definitely Daniel Farke. Then it was like, oh, it could be Raul. It could be Raul. And I was like, no, it's Farke. Sunday. You think it'll be a weekend? I think it'll be Raul as well. Joking. But why not? Raul.
Why not?
The crack.
Kate, what were we saying?
I am going with Jer. I think Sunday as well.
Okay.
And I think, quite frankly, I don't give a shit who it is.
What would you do if I was announced?
Do you know what? I'd come in as your assistant. That's what I'd do.
Southampton have a fantastic system. Okay, you'd fall in love with the place very quickly. You know, if Joe was to take the Leeds job, there's plenty of clubs. There's lots of clubs.
You know, for a fact, I'd be like, Bamford starting and he's captain.
You have two captains, and
you know for a fact, I'd be saying no.
Lockie, manager, mate, when's it happening?
I just want to say, someone said Omabemi Dele. Is that his name from Norwich?
Omabemi, yeah, he's
Omabemi Dele, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's probably going Prem. But that is a good shout.
Has signed for Luton.
Has he gone to Luton?
No, it's Agbeni. Sorry,
no, that's
all right.
I knew an Irish bloke signed for somebody. Yeah, Agbeni signed for Luton.
So
he's a good fullback, though. He's a good player.
Yeah, probably going Prem though, innit? I'd say. I hope Friday. I just don't know what I'll do.
Yeah,
Friday.
You're gonna wait
another weekend.
Friday. There we go.
Another weekend. Another weekend.
It'll be tomorrow morning at 9:15 a.m. Watch 8:45 in the morning. Fine.
On a positive note, Money in the Bank's on Saturday, and I'm doing a watch along. So if you're a wrestling fan, join me for that. That'll be fun.
The music of Farke, and Farke arrives on the ring with the horse.
Yeah, definitely. Andrea, what's your thoughts, mate? When we're getting an announcement?
Well, we get an announcement on a very specific day, and that's the day when the Takeover gets the green light.
Yeah,
3 months. Nice.
So when will the EFL give us the announcement?
I hope by Saturday, honestly, because on Sunday players can go back.
Yeah.
So.
January.
One Saturday. We don't know if it's this Saturday or a Saturday in the future. But I really hope this Saturday, because the players are coming back on Sunday. So
do we really
need to have a manager?
Skabala as our interim coach until for the first few weeks of the season, won't we?
Give it the scoops.
Give
it the scoops. We've had this season.
Go on, scoops.
Definitely, yeah. Listen, folks, thank you again for coming on. Everyone who's in the chat, listen, we've had over 1,000 people tonight, which has been absolutely amazing. So thank you all for tuning in. Please go check out Jer at Leeds United The View, Kate at Leeds Bird Rants, Lockie at Lockie Leeds, and of course Andrea. Check him out on Twitter. You can see him most nights on here as well. So listen, thanks everyone for tuning in. subscribe to all these channels, get them to the respective numbers. They all do great work. I dip in and out. It's a shame I don't get invited on any of them, but it is what it is. We move. I'd like to do a breakfast. I'd like to do a breakfast from time to time. I don't even get asked. It is what it is.
I'll get you on. I'll have to kick you out of bed first, but I'll get you on.
I'm going to start putting screenshots of conversations with Joe on Twitter now.
No, listen, honestly, I love having you all on. It's great. And everyone, listen, hopefully we'll hear something tomorrow. It's so hard at the minute being a content creator.
It's horrible.
I'm like, how can I spin this?
Any slight transfer link, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I got 3 small stories this morning, and I sat there. I had a ton of work to do today, so I was like,
I'll stretch it to 8 minutes.
And I looked at
definitely. It's going to take some getting used to this 49ers stuff, I tell you, man. Bloody hell. Yeah, listen, thanks, everyone. If you're watching on the replay, check out the channels and like the video, and we'll see you